Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So last Sunday Raksha together with other devotees being Raksha, then Archana's Vaikunta Kid Devraj, Archana, and His Grace Uttamanand Prabhu. They were all at a preaching event, and in one shot, they all distributed 31 Bhagavad Gitas just like that. So Raksha wants to share something.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, actually, it was you who shared, who distributed all the books. All glories to you and Prabhupada.
I didn't do anything. I was only the driver to take books from point A to point B. Okay, go ahead. What else did you learn and noticed? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. So, while traveling to London, it was a 2 hours ride, and while on the way, Prabhuji was making us read verses. We were looking at the plates of the car and then reading verses from Bhagavad Gita and chanting all the way. And also, we were asking a lot of questions related to Bhagavad Gita. And there, it was actually a devotee's house, and there were a lot of devotees. And Prabhuji gave a discourse about Bhagavad Gita on various topics like soul. We are not this body, we are a soul, and on karma. And then we learned how to do Deepdan from Prabhuji. And we also learned how to do Bhoga offering to Gopinath.
Okay, very good. So driving, we were doing Krishna Katha, and driving becomes Bhakti Yoga. Very good. Raksha, what happened when you listen to Kirtan?
Uttamananda Prabhuji was doing a very good kirtan, and I had goosebumps listening to his kirtan.
So those of you who have studied Nectar of Devotion, how did Raksha get goosebumps or the signs of ecstasy? Is Raksha a pure devotee? If Raksha is not a pure devotee, how does Raksha get signs of ecstasy by hearing Kirtan? Those who have studied Nectar of Devotion, you remember something? So there are two ways. One is described in Nectar of Devotion, and the other we'll discuss very soon in the Bhagavatam class, batch 5, or those of you who are in Canto 1. That one is if a pure devotee is present, then the devotion in his heart is reflected on the devotee trying to sincerely follow. Now, the other is that more relevant for the conversation at the time was that if you make the environment purely Krishna conscious, that you are simply there to discuss Krishna Katha, do Kirtan, and you didn't had any other business, then it becomes a pure environment, pure Krishna conscious environment, whether or not you are pure. And that's how you can also get the ecstasy, because you are in a pure environment. So just as some devotees virtually present right now also, they discuss Srimad Bhagavatam offline after the class. So what are they doing? They, for that 30-minute or whatever number of minutes they discuss, they are not doing any chit chat or material talk. They are simply focused on discussing Krishna Katha. So it becomes a pure environment, and that's how you keep getting purified, by keeping yourself in a pure environment more and more and more. Any questions, comments, realizations? All right, so last class we started chapter 13, verse 8 to 12, and we'll continue discussing the same set of verses. We discussed important points, so I will briefly connect the dots that we discussed in the whole of last class. So we discussed humility. Humility means not being proud when you have a reason to be proud. And Prabhupada says that devotee accepts honor, means whatever somebody gives honor, devotee takes the honor and pass it on to previous acharyas and to Krishna. But devotee does not demand honor. That is humility. And we discussed pride. Definition of pride means to be proud when I don't have a reason to be proud. So we also discussed that all these qualities, 20 qualities described in chapter 13, verses 8 to 12, are knowledge. These are the qualities we have to develop, and we should try to develop when we are provoked. That's a real test whether we have developed these qualities or not. And we discussed that we should observe spiritual masters and elevated devotees, how they are demonstrating these qualities. So when somebody praises me, I get puffed up. But how is spiritual masters and elevated devotees protecting themselves? So when you praise a spiritual master, the spiritual master will pass the praise along to Srila Prabhupada or his spiritual master and to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Plus, the spiritual master will also either glorify the inquiry that you are making if the spiritual master does not know you, or if the spiritual master knows you, then he will look at some good quality in you and this way glorify you. By this, the spiritual master is saying that I don't have those good qualities. You actually have those good qualities. So this is a practical way of being humble. Now, generally, when somebody praises me, my ego gets pumped up. And ego is against spiritual progress. So when we get praise, the praise should actually deflate my ego, not pump my ego. It should actually deflate my ego. How? Rather than the praise inflating my ego, the serious devotee should use the praise to deflate the ego, because the serious devotee will have this thought process in his mind that I know my anarthas. I am unworthy of this praise, but still Krishna is so great that Krishna is able to use even me, an unworthy instrument, in his service. This way, I should deflate my my ego. Well, the ego gets deflated by itself when you have this thought process. We also discussed very important point about Maya's test, that some of the symptoms, uh, whether or not you are in Maya's test, I will just summarize in brief, that if you miss series of classes and you do not immediately listen to class recordings, be very careful that you are in Maya's test. Now, this Maya's test is mandatory for all devotees. And actually, if a Maya's test has happened, it's actually is a good sign. So you don't have to get scared. You just have to prepare yourself. So the first symptom I said is that if you miss series of classes and if you don't immediately listen to class recordings, be very careful that you are potentially in Maya's test. When you talk to me or to other devotees in Simpsons like voice, then be very careful. You potentially would be in Maya's test because you are having this anxiety and agitation. And when you don't feel like coming to classes, you don't feel like doing japa, you don't feel like doing devotional services, etc., means you are losing spiritual taste. That's a symptom of being in Maya's test. Now, when family visits you or you travel to your home country and you are not diligent to regularly hear scriptures during these times, be very careful because you are taking association of materialistic people and you are not having the protection of scriptures around you. You could be in Maya's test. And the spiritual endeavors, that regularly you complete your spiritual endeavors 10 minutes before class time or you don't complete at all, be very careful. You could be in Maya's test. Now, with these symptoms, understand that you are not alone. I have seen these symptoms in devotees across all batches. So those who rectify themselves, they continue. And those who do not rectify themselves, they very soon drop off from devotee association and our classes and go away from spirituality. So it's very, very important that when you, all those who are listening to class recordings, whether on a regular basis or when you miss a class, it is very, very important that you soon send me at least one striking point and at least one inquiry from each class recording. This will keep you disciplined, like forceful discipline. Now, when the Maya's test happens, so what's the solution? Again, don't be scared. I'm just trying to prepare you because this is a mandatory test and nobody can take the test for you. You all have to go through this test. So when the test will happen, first thing you have to do is to consult with Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. We have studied in chapter 1 onwards that initial stages of my spiritual life, I cannot trust my intelligence. Rather, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra are my intelligence. And Arjuna also teaches us in 1.15.27 that when Krishna went back to Goloka Vrindavan and Arjuna was in distress, Arjuna simply remembered Bhagavad Gita instructions and Arjuna got pacified. But for us, when the test happens because of misery or because of series of miseries, then we tend to forget scriptural instructions. So we have to forcefully be mindful and take shelter of scriptures. The other solution is that build a fence of devotee association around you. Immediately, all of you. Have close relation with some devotee with whom you feel comfortable sharing your personal situation. Exactly as one builds a dam before the flooding happens. So immediately build a dam of devotee association around you, because devotee association is the only and the best solution against Maya's test. And the devotee being under the test will generally not be able to recognize whether he or she is under the test. So it is for this other devotee, means your buddy, who should recognize, and the one who is under the test should listen to the buddy. But most of the time, it has happened with previous devotees also, that the devotee under the test does not listen to the buddy also, and then they leave the path of spirituality. So listen to the mind control lecture a zillion times and ensure that your mind is not deviated because of this test. And do not trust the mind and intelligence, rather use Guru, Sadhu and Shastra as your intelligence. Now understand the recovery phase. This is very, very important. That with this Maya's test, what Maya has done is Maya has contaminated your mind and intelligence. Therefore, during this recovery phase, your quality of your japa will be very, very poor. Still, continue to do japa, even if it is poor quality, does not matter. Continue to do japa, because it's the japa that is going to bring you back. And try to do japa in devotee association. So even if your japa quality is poor, at least you are hearing good quality japa of the other devotees with whom you are trying to do japa. Now, from my own experience, as well as from the experience of other devotees, this Maya's test will become very intense. Plus, the frequency and the severity of the test will increase. So I had explained my own situation that when I got tested for the first time, I actually left the temple, and then senior devotees had to get involved and help me get back on track. So I'm preparing you all so that you don't go through the same severe misery. Now, if you follow the proper steps that I all described and summarized today, during your first test of Maya, if you follow the steps properly, then from test number 2 onwards, you should be able to yourself see Maya Devi testing you, and you will chuckle when you see Maya Devi testing you. You'll go, hey, Maya Devi, Hare Krishna. Come sit beside me and make me also a pure devotee like how you are. Don't give me trouble. At this time, pray to Maya Devi to not test you, rather make you also a pure devotee, and Maya Devi will help you. The analogy given in Srimad Bhagavatam for this is that electricity power can be used to turn on a furnace to heat the home, or the same electricity can be used to turn on an air conditioning to cool down the home. So Maya Devi is giving you misery not because Maya Devi hates you. Rather, Maya Devi is trying to help you purify from the anarthas. Maya Devi is trying to help you get out of the attachments. Therefore, Maya Devi is giving you miseries. Therefore, I said that when this test happens, although on the surface looks like a misery, actually grab this opportunity with open arms and pass this test. I will pause here for any questions, comments, realizations, as well as any realizations from the 7-minute short lecture I sent last week titled first priority is to keep the first priority as the first priority?
I would like to share my experience,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. So past your session, and also when I heard the recording, I actually could see what happened. So the like, I was feeling little low because suddenly the climate has changed, and then there were this series of events which all clashed with the timing when like my devotee and other people we assembled to do japa. So I could clearly see that Maya Devi is like trying to divert me, like something that I want to attend and it's clashing with the time. And I'm like, no, no matter what, I'm not going for that. Like post 6 o'clock, I'm just committed to doing what I have decided to
Okay,
just,
very good. Very
yeah.
good observation. That this is what Maya will do. That Maya will try to rearrange your priority. And understand that when you do devotional service, it is actually raging a war against Maya Devi because you are trying to go back home, back to Godhead. And it is easier for Maya Devi to take down a new devotee rather than after the devotee becomes elevated, then it's a difficult for Maya Devi. She can still take it down, but initially most of the devotees fail the first test and they leave. So Shreyanshi, very good. Rest of you, any questions, comments, realizations? Somnima?
Hare Krishna. So every time I listen to that lecture, something strikes, and this time it was like the while we're making schedule, it should be around Krishna first and then put the rest of the things. So that struck me this time from the lecture.
Yeah, very good. So those devotees who are from Toronto, they have also heard this from me, that at the start of the year, around end of December or beginning of January, I make my personal calendar. The first thing I do is I take the temple calendar for the year starting from January onwards, and I populate all the important dates, such as Ekadashi and all the festivals for which I know I have to be at the temple. And then for rest of the days, I will populate my rest of the event. So what I'm doing is exactly what Sumnima described, that I'm trying to keep Krishna in the center. Very good, Sumnima. Rest of you? Anybody feeling anxious for the Maya's test? Yes, no?
I will just like to add on.
Yeah.
So Maya Devi has again tested me by like bringing back somebody from the past. And what happened is like everything got cancelled. And I have my whole like schedule and I'm kind of like what to do. And suddenly somebody from the past like has like messaged. It's a test that would I like fall in trap and like do the same mistake again? And it has been happening through like the same set of people. They're trying to get back and they're trying to throw some information so that they can get some reaction and then they can pass on to the other people, whatever. And now I'm like playing it neutral. I know what Maya Devi is doing. I was like, okay, I will
Yeah.
do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, very good. So just continue to be vigilant like this, that Mahadevi will keep bringing. Mahadevi has infinite ways to test you. So just because Shreyanshi is describing one way does not mean the same will happen. It can happen, but Mahadevi has infinite ways to test you. All right, let's continue. Chapter 13, verses 8 to 12. We'll again read the translation and we'll discuss each of these points or many of important points. Deepa, if you want to read chapter 13, 8 to 12 translations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is it possible for you to bring it on the screen? I
We'll,
don't have the.
we'll let Nishan read it. You can try to get it by yourself.
Okay.
Nishan?
Yes, Prabhuji, can you please repeat which one?
Yeah, chapter 13, verses 8 to 12 translation.
Chapter 13, verse 8 to 12. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from enlightenment, with children, wife, home, and the rest, even mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Very good. So we'll continue discussing from the point of non-violence. So question for all you, what does non-violence mean to you? Everybody, simple question. What does non-violence mean to you? Somebody?
Not doing anything physical when provoked.
Okay. What else? What does non-violence mean to you?
Not saying bad words, not like
All right. Pratish
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Path Prabhu.
Actually, help others to guide the spiritual life.
Okay, very good. Pratish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Being non-violent means not to use violence to someone who doesn't cause harm to you.
Okay, very good. So the purport for 8 to 12, Prabhupada has given definitions for all these terms, and each of these definitions are spectacular and elevated definitions. So Prabhupada gives for non-violence also that Prabhupada says one should try his best to distribute spiritual knowledge to people so that they may become enlightened and leave this material entanglement that is non-violent. So exactly what Path Prabhu correctly pointed out. So Prabhupada is saying non-violence does not just mean not attacking others. Yeah, if you attack others, yeah, that is violence. So don't do it. Yeah, that is correct. But beyond this, if you have the ability to preach to somebody and you don't preach spirituality, you are doing violence. And the other way is also that if you are blocking somebody's spiritual progress, that is also violence. So try to preach to innocent people as much as is possible, and you will become dear to Krishna. So soul has the capacity and the opportunity to get liberated in the human form of life. And to not let the soul take this opportunity to get liberated, that is violence. So an example to understand this is that a patient is in the hospital where the patient can get cured and can get discharged from the hospital. So if the doctor does not give proper medicine, then the doctor is not necessarily doing anything wrong, but the doctor is not stealing some organ. But still, negligence is also a punishable act on the part of the doctor. So when the doctor knows which medicine to give, And if the doctor does not give that medicine, then that is also a crime in one sense. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is saying that we know that people can benefit from this spiritual knowledge that we are studying. And if we don't share the spiritual knowledge, then that is violence on our part. We are obstructing or we are not facilitating people's spiritual recovery. So real non-violence means not to interfere with people's spiritual recovery. So the continuation of the patient hospital analogy is that material world is a hospital and we all souls have come here to get cure so that we can go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, we should preach. Questions, comments, realizations?
Can I ask something,
Yeah.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like people get overprotective or like, and sometimes that becomes an obstruction in someone's spiritual growth. So is it also indirectly like violence? Because again, like they are being protective, actually they are not helping them to grow.
So you have to preach according to time, place, and circumstances. If you know that the person is very protective, don't try to preach them, because you are trying to run a truckload of philosophy on a person and that person will actually get injured by that truckload of philosophy. Rather, to that person, just give prasad. Right? And let prasad first purify his finer tissues in the brain, and then he will himself come to spirituality. So don't take everything in your hand that you will transform somebody. Don't be a doer. Rather, be Krishna's instrument. That you preach according to your level and preach according to circumstances. So if somebody says, I should be able to transform somebody based on my preaching, well, you are trying to be the Bhagavad Gita 3.27 doer. That is a wrong approach. I am a neophyte. It's only Uttam Adhikari who has the ability to transform someone on the basis of scriptural guidance. I don't have the ability. My role is only to take books and prasadam from point A to point B. So just as at the start today we discussed, Raksha and others went. I did only two things. I carried books and prasadam from the temple to the preaching location, right? So we don't have to push anyone. And even to all those, I did not say take Bhagavad Gita. I said if you really want it, you can keep the Bhagavad Gita. If you don't want, return it. So we should just try to be an instrument rather than be a doer. Shrevanshi and everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. The next item is tolerance. So we have discussed tolerance earlier. That tolerance is not impotence, rather tolerance is persistence. Not that we accept everything that is inflicted upon us. Tolerance means don't let small things in life distract us from the big things. Example, someone may insult me, something may go wrong in my day-to-day life, but I don't let distract me from my ultimate superior spiritual purpose of going back home, back to Godhead. Next point is arjuvam, or simplicity or truthfulness. That devotee is not unnecessarily diplomatic. Devotee is not unnecessarily political. Devotee is living a simple life, and in his dealings also is very simple. The next point is about spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada explains that from these 20 items of knowledge, accepting spiritual master and worshipping the spiritual master is the most important of these 20 items, because taking shelter of a spiritual master is the basis on which rest of the 19 items will grow. So if you try to develop all these items by yourself, is like you trying to get out of a well by climbing the rope by yourself. Well, there's a high risk of you falling back in the material whirlpool. Therefore, if you take the shelter of a spiritual master, the mind and senses start getting in control simply by taking shelter. I can tell you from my own experience by this, as well as rest of the qualities developed by the mercy of the spiritual master. Questions, comments, realizations so far? Pratish Prabhu.
Prabhuji, my question is, at what particular point or what particular stage does violence or intolerance becomes necessary?
So, violence is in extreme circumstances when somebody is, say, physically trying to hurt you, or somebody is blaspheming Krishna or Krishna's devotee. Now, this does not mean that we also do physical violence. No, we don't have to do physical violence. We just have to convince them that they are wrong and they should apologize and take up Krishna consciousness. So when we speak or chastise those who blaspheme Krishna or Krishna's devotees, does not mean that we also start talking in angry tone. No. The purpose of the situation is that we should try to get other people closer to Krishna by convincing them, not by argument or not by we also becoming angry. So we should not tolerate blasphemy against Krishna and Krishna's devotees. For me personally, somebody does somehow, I should tolerate. But for Krishna and Krishna's devotees, we should not tolerate. This is described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the fight between Daksha and Sati. This is described there. Pratish Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So Abhishek Prabhu has a question. Is there any qualification to take shelter? Like what should be our mood? So there is no qualification. Now, very important to understand that many devotees think that I should first purify myself through some other process. I should first be able to chant 16 rounds and then go to a spiritual master. This is incorrect understanding. You should go to spiritual master, all of you, right away. Even if you are not chanting, even if you are chanting one round, whatever number of rounds, spiritual master is going to guide you and purify you so that you can come to 16 rounds and steady yourself and develop all these qualities. So this is a serious misunderstanding that many devotees have, that I should first purify myself. I should first study all the scriptures before going to spiritual master. I mean, it is good. I'm not saying you should not. But if this is your criteria that I should first purify myself, that is incorrect. You should go to spiritual master not after purification. Rather, you should go to spiritual master for getting purified. Abhishek Prabhu, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So all of you should consider to get spiritual master as soon as is possible. And even if you are not ready for initiation, you can tell the spiritual master on day one that right now you are not ready for initiation. You are just taking the spiritual master as a Siksha Guru. And the spiritual master will be glad. He will continue to still guide you till the time you become ready for initiation. So first step is get a spiritual mentor from your respective local temples, and the mentor will help you choose which spiritual master is right for you. Questions, comments, realizations?
So in this spiritual mentor is same as Siksha Guru?
They are different. They can be same, but they are different. So spiritual mentor has a specific role and a specific ability to choose your spiritual master. Siksha Guru can be many. Now, the mentor will also be your Siksha Guru, but any devotee who is giving you scriptural guidance, that generally will qualify as Siksha Guru. And Siksha Guru can be many, but mentor is still a mentor. All right. Next item is cleanliness. Straightforward that cleanliness is essential for spiritual advancement. Next item is steadiness, that we should have determination to be steady on the path of spirituality. The next item is the 4 problems of material life, which is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Birth, death, old age, and disease. So here's a question for us. So this Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi is an important point. We'll discuss in detail. So here's a question for you all. When you have pain in body and you go to a doctor, does the doctor give you painkiller?
No, first he examines like
Okay.
and
Rest of you, when you have pain in body, does the doctor give you painkiller? Okay, Padma Kumar Prabhu says yes, he will give us painkiller. Okay. Rest of you, Abhishek Prabhu.
He will also give us medicine to cure the disease, not just
Okay.
avoid the pain.
Okay, very good. To cure the disease. Okay. Okay. Subnima also says same, try to treat the root cause. Okay. Shruti says no pain medication. Okay. With 2 symptoms. Okay, very good. Okay. Painkiller worst case scenario. Very good. Priya says. Okay. Riya says depends on the level of pain. Okay. Path Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, actually doctor first diagnoses the cause, and then as per his knowledge or experience, he used that
Yeah.
medicine.
Yeah, very good. Very good. That doctor will first diagnose the root cause of the pain or the root cause of the disease, and he will try to cure the disease. Yeah, he may give you immediate pain pain medication also, because the pain is could be severe. But the painkiller is not going to cure the disease. So with this analogy, visualize that the pain in the body is visible, or the pain is perceivable symptom, while the real problem or the real disease may not be known, may not be visible like the pain is visible. Or just as when you see an iceberg, a small portion of the iceberg is above the water. But below the water, the iceberg could be very big. Similarly, in our life here, the surface problems are these Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi that we see all around us. But these are surface problems. The deeper problem is that I don't have humility, I am proud, I am violent. So all these qualities described in chapter 13 verses 8 to 12, I don't have these qualities. These are the deeper problem. That's why I am in the material world where I am going through Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. And the other deeper problem is that instead of my consciousness being attracted to spirit, my consciousness is attracted to matter. So these are the deeper problems. So to address Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, we have to address the real problems. What scientists, some of them are thinking that they will somehow get people to live longer. Arey Baba, but it doesn't solve the problem. The problem is I don't have all these qualities. The problem is my consciousness is not attracted to spiritual, rather is attracted to matter. So let's go to purport and we will try to read. Shruti, if you count the paragraphs in the purport, I want you to go to purport paragraph number 9. And it starts, one should try to understand the distress.
Yeah.
Read that
Yeah,
paragraph.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, one should try to understand the distress of accepting birth, death, old age, and disease. These are descriptions in various Vedic literatures of birth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the world of the unborn, the child's stay in the womb of the mother, its suffering, etc., are all very graphically described. It should be thoroughly understood that birth is distressful. Because we forget how much distress we have suffered within the womb of the mother, we do not make any solution to the repetition of birth and death. Similarly, at the time of death, there are all kinds of sufferings, and there are also and they are also mentioned in the authoritative scriptures. These should be discussed. And as far as disease and old age are concerned, everyone gets practical experience. No one wants to be diseased, and no one wants to become old, but there is no avoiding these. Unless we have a pessimistic view of this material life, considering the distresses of birth, death, old age, and disease, there is no impetus for our making advancement in this spiritual life.
So Prabhupada references the Srimad Bhagavatam that there is very graphic description. Believe me, this is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, where there is very graphic description of what all suffering the soul goes through in mother's womb. It is horrible. Horrible means horrible. When almost everybody celebrates birth and every year they celebrate birthday, after you read Bhagavatam, that particular chapter, you will not celebrate birthday at all. Because it's a horrible place to be in. And therefore, Prabhupada's, or this verse says, Janma Mrityu Jaravyadi, that birth is also misery. And Prabhupada explains, that we read in the purport, that unless we have a pessimistic view, means a negative view of this material life, or negative view of considering the distress of birth, death, old age, and disease, until we have this negative view, till that time, we will not have an impetus for making advancement in spiritual life. Now, this pessimism is more of a realism, meaning denying reality is not optimistic. Rather, it is stupidity that you are denying reality. It will be pessimism when there is no solution. Means if you simply talk about the negative of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi without the solution, well, then it's of no use. But scriptures have given the solution also, that do devotional service. In 9.33, Krishna has explained, as well as many other chapters, that if you do devotional service, then you will get purified and go back home, back to Godhead, and then you will not be in the cycle of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. So the important point is to be realistic. We have to recognize that certain things in life are negative. So if I have a disease, well, then I have a disease. I cannot turn myself away. No, rather I have to cure my disease. So by denying the reality of suffering, we do not make the suffering go away. Rather, if I deny the disease that I have, then internally it will become worse. Similarly, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi are inevitable. But they are inevitable only at the material world level. Beyond material world, there is a spiritual world and a spiritual level of reality where these disease of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi do not exist. When we understand this, then we get the impetus to make spiritual advancement. So accepting the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death is not pessimism, rather it is realism. So Srila Prabhupada states that these 4 items of Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi are universal evils, means anywhere in the universe, whether you are in Patal or Earth or the highest planet or Brahmaloka or any of the infinite universes, these 4 things are absolute common. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. So Prabhupada translates Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi as the perception of evil of birth, old age, disease, and death. Questions, comments, realizations?
Hi, Krishna. Prabhuji, this evil of birth, like some people have this argument is there that because now at this point I don't remember what I faced. So, like, should I consider that? How to understand that problem?
Yeah. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, what Abhishek Prabhu is saying, Prabhupada has actually said the same point in one of the purports, that we forget. And therefore, we live the life of eat, drink, and be merry. But Prabhupada said these scriptures are original scriptures. They are telling us what we have gone through. And we should accept the authority of scriptures and not do the same mistake. And Prabhupada has actually said this, that we suffer in mother's womb. When we take birth, we suffer. When we are young, we suffer. When we are working, we suffer. When we get old, we are suffering. And we have suffered this millions of lives, but we forget, because death, upon death, there is a reset of our memory. But Prabhupada has said the same point, that we should accept this from scriptural authority, that these are miserable places. So just because I forget does not mean that I am not suffering. So we may not remember mother's womb, but are you not suffering right now? How many of you are not suffering? Somebody? Yes? No? You have to play the critter sound. How many of you are suffering, not suffering? Only Ritu says she is suffering, rest of you? So,
Suffering, Prabhuji.
right? So, Abhishek Prabhu, you judge for yourself. Are you suffering right now or not?
Yes, Swami.
Right? So, yes, I understand you may not remember the suffering in mother's womb, but therefore we have scriptures that we follow what the scripture is saying. Similarly, in that Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Prabhupada has described. So therefore, here in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada said the word graphic description. It literally is graphic description in Srimad Bhagavatam, that when a child is born, he is crying. Why is the child crying? Anybody knows? Everybody in the family is rejoicing. Oh, child is born. But why is the child crying? Shruti?
No, I don't. I never understood why they cry even after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what happens is that when the child is born, the germs that were there in the womb, they are still biting the child till they clean the child. And the child wants relief, that the child does not want to get caught in Maya. Because what happens is, in mother's womb, the soul is still conscious of Krishna. And in that Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Prabhupada explains that a lucky soul, somebody who gets the mercy of a pure devotee, that soul prays to Krishna in the womb, I don't want to come out, because I know material nature is going to catch me and I'll be entangled here. So as soon as the child comes out, he forgets. So the birth is a trauma, that the child has to come out through a very tiny place, and it's actually very traumatic. And because of that trauma, the child forgets everything that he goes through in mother's womb, and therefore he is crying that if he forgot Krishna and he is now caught by Mayadevi. Shruti, everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji. Understand.
And everybody, the family member, they are in so much ignorance that they are celebrating. Oh, child is born. And they are celebrating up and down, not really seeing that the child is crying. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So we'll read the next item, which is detachment. Again, very practical for all of us. So we'll read the next paragraph, which is paragraph number 10, which starts, as for detachment from children, wife, and home. Pretty important item. Shruti has a question.
No, I don't have.
Raksha, you want to read paragraph number 10, as for detachment from children, wife, and home?
Yes, Prabhuji. As for detachment from children, wife, and home, it is not meant that one should have no feeling for these. They are natural objects of affection. But when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them. The best process for making the home pleasant is Krishna consciousness. If one is in full Krishna consciousness, he can make his home very happy because this process of Krishna consciousness is very easy. One need only chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Accept the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna, have some discussion on books like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and engage oneself in deity worship. These four things will make one happy. One should train the members of his family in this way. The family members can sit down morning and evening and chant together Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If one can mold his family life in this way to develop Krishna consciousness following these four principles, then there is no need to change from family life to renounced life. But if it is not congenial, not favorable for spiritual advancement, then family life should be abandoned. One must sacrifice everything to realize or serve Krishna, just as Arjuna did. Arjuna did not want to kill his family members, but when he understood that these family members were impediments to his Krishna realization, he accepted the instruction of Krishna and fought and killed them. In all cases, one should be detached from the happiness and distress of family life because in this world one can never be fully happy or fully miserable. Happiness and distress are concomitant factors of material life. One should learn to tolerate as advised in Bhagavad Gita. One can never restrict the coming and going of happiness and distress. So one should be detached from materialistic way of life and be automatically equipoised in both cases. Generally, when we get something desirable, we are very happy, and when we get something undesirable, we are distressed. But if we are actually in the spiritual position, these things will not agitate us. To reach that stage, we have to practice unbreakable devotional service. Devotional services to Krishna without deviation means engaging oneself in the 9 processes of devotional service, chanting, hearing, worshipping, offering respect, etc., as described in the last verse of the 9th chapter. That process should be followed.
So, very important point. I'm pretty sure many of us are attached to family members. So, this detachment point is very important. And Prabhupada explains important point here that as for detachment for children, wife, and home, it is not meant that one should have no feeling for them. No, we have feelings. We have to have feelings. The family members are natural objects of affection. But when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them. Now, question becomes, what if family members are not devotees? So instead of trying to use this excuse we just read in paragraph number 10, that we should give up the family. No, this is absolute real last option to give up family. So if your family members are not devotees, use this as an opportunity to internalize and practice the devotional principles such as humility, tolerance, forgiveness, compassion, so many qualities. So use this as an opportunity. And by you practicing these qualities in sometimes provoking situations, this way you can even inspire the family members to practice devotional service by simply being kind to them. Now, only when the atmosphere is entirely pratikul, means entirely anti-devotional, in that real extreme circumstances, one can think of leaving the family. Now, understand this with an example that Prahlad Maharaj's father, Hiranyakashipu, tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj so many ways. Still, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that I respect my father and I will continue to simultaneously do devotional practice. And we should not assume that the obstacle is insurmountable right from the beginning. No, you first practice. And even when Lord Narsimhadev was killing Prahlad Maharaj's father, Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj still asked for forgiveness. That, Lord, please forgive my father. So, Shruti is absolutely right that this Prahlad Maharaj is the best example of tolerance. So, any one of you who may have a difficult family situation and you will keep saying, oh, my family is very difficult, I'll use this paragraph number 10 and leave my family. No, Prabhupada doesn't say that. You first practice. Use this as an opportunity to practice your spiritual growth. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Krishna has chosen these souls as your family members. Then who are you to deny that relationship? So we should continue to practice our devotional service in a way that does not unnecessarily disturb others, including family members. Do not disturb family members. So Krishna has said in chapter 3 as well as in chapter 6 that do not disturb others. Just try to engage them in devotional service, whatever little is possible. So we should be detached from family members, from children, from home. So although the verse says wife, but it works both ways, that wife should be detached from husband and husband should be detached from wife. So devotee should be affectionate and devotee should not be attached. Now the dividing line between attachment and affection could be difficult to distinguish. So let me explain at a high level what is the difference between affection and attachment. So affection refers to natural emotional human connection which we have with family members, and we should be having affection. Affection is vital for any relationships to exist. Now, many times, detachment from family members can have a negative effect in terms of irresponsibility. So detachment is not irresponsibility. Rather, detachment means lack of excessive emotional entanglement in material things and the material body relationships. Irresponsibility means evasiveness, means unwillingness to shoulder a burden or the responsible task, which is actually one's own responsibility. Now, a perfect example to understand the difference between affection and attachment is Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. That even when Duryodhana is going on a wrong track and Dhritarashtra allows Duryodhana to continue to go on the wrong track because Dhritarashtra cannot say no to Duryodhana because of his attachment. Even though Duryodhana is going on a wrong track, this is the perfect example of attachment. Affection means if you have affection for your family members and if the family member is going on a wrong track, well, then you will correct him. That no, this is a wrong path. Please don't go there. That is affection. So we should definitely have affection, but we should not have attachment. So Srila Prabhupada explains how one can spiritualize one's family life is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, worshipping Gopinath at home together with family members, studying Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam together with family members, taking prasadam, and this way, these are the potent items described in Nectar of Devotion from the 64 items. And this way you can spiritualize your whole life. You can spiritualize the surrounding environment around you. I will pause here for questions, comments, realizations. Very practical for everyone. So Sumnima has a question that how to not disturb the family members, but being affectionate by saying they are in the wrong path by not being in Krishna consciousness. So let's go to Bhagavad Gita 6.26. Not 6.3 should be 3.26. Let's see. Yeah. Sumnima and everybody follow 3.26 translation.
3.26 So as not to disrupt the minds of the ignorant men attached to the fruitive result of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
Right.
Hare
So
Krishna.
what you do is you do not say verbally that you are on a wrong track. Yes, in your head, you know they are on a wrong track. Rather, what you do is follow 3.26 that try to engage them in service. Whatever little is possible. So for example, if you are doing a Gopinath worship at your home, you can engage them. Okay, wash these plates of Gopinath. Okay, honor prasadam. Any small things, just engage them in services. Don't say verbally to them that you are on a wrong track, because the moment you oppose to someone, they become very defensive. So we'll soon discuss in chapter 17 that our speech should be pleasing. Krishna has said in the hierarchy, pleasing speech is higher as compared to truthful speech. So Sumnima's point that somebody is not on Krishna conscious path is wrong is true. But Krishna has clearly said, don't say true statements if they're going to hurt. Rather, you use pleasing language. Does not mean you have to speak untrue statements. Rather, use pleasing, saying, can you please help me? I am busy in my task. Can you just please help me? Sumnima?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Very good. Shruti summarized it perfectly in the chat. Okay, wait, Pratish Prabhu.
So, Prabhuji, the previous paragraph, can that be interpreted in a way that discourages interreligious marriages because it might hinder spiritual progress?
So it does not talk about intercaste marriages. Rather, what Prabhupada is saying is have a Krishna conscious family. And Prabhupada doesn't say that if you on day one your family is not Krishna conscious, then leave the family. Nowhere he says that. Rather, we just read in 3.26 that you, as well as we discussed, that you try to engage your family members in Krishna consciousness and make them also Krishna conscious. Because Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and he has connected you with a particular soul in your family relationship. So Krishna knows everything. So doesn't talk about intercaste at all. What is talking about is Krishna conscious, no matter who you are attached to.
No,
Who
Prabhuji,
you
I
are.
said I said interreligious.
Yeah, doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Interreligious or intercaste. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Doesn't matter. If you come to ISKCON, you will see that devotees get married from different religions. They get married. Why? Because both husband and wife's focus is Krishna conscious. And that's a healthy marriage compared to if one spouse is trying to be Krishna conscious and the other spouse is a materialistic person. Well, you have a 360-degree difference there, and it's going to be a little challenging. Matish Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So Priyadarshini says, should we show affection to the family member and at the same time be detached emotionally from them? So the word emotion has to be with the word affection, right? Detached emotionally, no. You have to have affection and have emotion with your family and just be detached at the bodily level. Priya, does that help you? Everybody, does that help you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I don't remember which class, but we have also discussed that we have to be connected to family members at the soul level. And then is it not like we are connected to soul levels to everyone? Then that specific family relation, eh, like it's not there because we are treating everyone just as souls.
So we are trying to connect at the soul level. I am not yet Samadarshina. Therefore, I am not yet seeing soul in everyone. But by practicing Krishna conscious together with family, and this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14, which is titled Ideal Family Life. In the ideal family life, what I am treating my family members as not as objects of sense gratification. Rather, I am seeing the family members as devotees. I am serving family members as devotees, and together with these devotee family members, I am also serving Krishna. So what I am trying to do is I am trying to spiritualize my surrounding area where I am most of the time there. By this, I and together my family members, we are all trying to come at the level of soul. Yes, I am not this way connected with other souls because I am not yet at the soul level. I'm just trying. I'm in the process. Does that help you, Abhishek Prabhu?
So, but does this necessarily mean that when this process is perfect, that particular relationship, like son and mother, husband and wife, that will not be there?
It will still continue. It will still continue. So even in the spiritual world, the relationships of parents, siblings are still there. Last time I couldn't remember the verse. Now I can tell you it's 3.30.7. says that there are family relations in spiritual world also. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 30, verse number 7. So even after you become Samadarshina in the material world, you will still have the relation with the family members. The difference will be that you will see everyone equal, whether it's your family member or whether it's a bird, whether it's an animal, whether it's a chandal, doesn't matter. You will see everyone equal and you will be equally kind to everyone. Abhishek Prabhu.
Thank you. That is very
Yeah, Shruti, you are absolutely correct. Krishna conscious is definitely above all religious principles is described at great length in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Satyam Param Dhimahi. Everybody on the same page, only few of you ask questions. I'm pretty sure this is very practical for everyone.
I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So we read about happiness and like how to stay balanced in the state of happiness, or even if something unfavorable happens to you. And so my question is, we try to stay balanced in the state when something unfavorable happens to us, but when the family members realize that something unfavorable has happened to me and they feel bad about it, or they really feel they deeply feel bad about it, and for long period of time, that becomes point of worry or concern for me, that how do I stop that?
Yeah, because you are at bodily concept of life. So your family, so you are studying Bhagavad Gita and you understand that you are supposed to stay steady, but your family members are not yet studying scriptures. So they are still at bodily concept of life. And because you are also at least partially at bodily concept of life, therefore you also got impacted because you took association of the family members. So this is described, we have discussed this in Nectar of Instruction. Association is not physical. Association is when you exchange emotions. So many of us, we are here in North America and we have family back in India or whatever country you want to consider. I'm giving the example of India. So something bad happens to family in India and we get sad. Why? Because we exchange the emotions. Or something good happens to family in India and we also rejoice. Why? We are exchanging emotions. Although we are physically far away, but we have taken association. So what we have to do is we have to make our association spiritual and not at the bodily level. So Deepa, by you getting affected, by family members getting affected, is because you took the association of somebody who are at materialistic or at the bodily concept of life. Deepa.
Yeah, I only feel bad that I'm causing that pain to them, or should I not think that way?
Yeah, you should not think it that way. So what you should do is you already have an elevated vision that you are able to see that somebody is getting affected. So what you do is you teach them spiritual concept. That material world is a place of misery. Ask them to read 8.16 that these things will keep happening. We don't have any control on these. What we have to do is we have to remember Krishna in these miserable times so that by remembering Krishna, we will no longer come back to this miserable material world. So you can use the opportunity to also get your family members that come and read spiritual scriptures. That will also help you not get affected by others' misery. Misery is still going to happen. It is not optional. Deepa?
Yes, Prabhuji. I did get some insight that you said affect exchange of emotion. Exchange of emotion is something which is affecting me, and that I should uh, stop.
Yeah. So understand, emotions you have to have with your family. You just don't have to get emotional at the bodily level, right?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Emotions you have to have. Otherwise, you cannot have an affection. Otherwise, you cannot have a relationship. So if you don't have emotion, then it's like you're trying to have a relation with a robot. No, we are not robot. We are humans. We have affection. So you have to have affection and emotions, just not at the bodily level.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So it's a practice. You are not alone. I also have attachment at bodily level with family. It's a practice. So we try to practice that every time something happens, at least try to remember the verses or our discussions that we are having. Uh, does it give full solace? I don't think so, but at least we are not as miserable as before. At least that's what I try to.
Yes, certainly. Yes.
Very good. Everybody on the same page? All right. So we'll continue discussing. So we'll skip a couple of paragraphs and then Prabhupada writes about devotee has no taste for sports and cinema, etc., politics, etc. So devotee does not have taste to enjoy social functions because he understands that these are simply waste of time because these are all at bodily level of life. So it is not that devotee does not want to have relationships. Rather important point is that devotee does not want to socialize with materialistic people that is detrimental to devotional service. So devotional service is not desocializing. Rather, Srila Prabhupada has said, ISKCON is a society, hence naturally there will be socialization. So not mixing with materialistic people is one of the item in these 20 items. So the point is that devotee focuses on not getting contaminated by material desires. Exactly the example that Deepa was describing a minute ago. That we understand that materialistic people are infected and we don't want to get infected. So the COVID pandemic was a perfect example to understand this, that those who had COVID disease, they were quarantined or the doctors would meet them, the COVID patients, with proper protection. Similarly, with materialistic people, we know that if I take association of materialistic people, then I will also have materialistic desires. So I try to maintain a distance. At my workplace, I am only functionally present. Somebody comes and asks me, so I'm an accountant, somebody will come and ask me, give me the dollar amount funding for so and so recipient. That's a function I am there for at my workplace. So I will give him that. I don't have any other business chit-chatting with my colleagues. And my colleagues, and now with Christmas coming up, they all have parties after work. I don't go there because I have no need to associate with them. As means to sit with them and gossip. The gossip is prajalpa. I've described many times that when this message comes in the office, that one colleague will say, we are going for party after work. Who is coming? And another colleague will say, I will come only if there is gossip. Are Baba, that is prajalpa. That is, nectar of instruction clearly describes that as hindrance to spiritual growth. So I don't go there because I don't want to waste my time on prajalpa. I am there from 9 to 5 for my functional need, and then I go back home for my spiritual duties, including today. Today is Friday here. I work till 5 p.m. and now you all also worked, and now we are talking Krishna Katha. Normally, if you look Fridays, people will have some parties or go for a drink or whatnot, or to a sports game. Uh, but uh, that is all at bodily level. So we don't have to uh, associate with materialistic people. Now, this does not mean devotee cannot meet materialistic people at all. No, we can, we should. All we have to understand that infections are always possible. Therefore, we have to protect ourselves. So at workplace and around, we have to be functionally present. So Shreyanshi has a question that how do we socialize in our free time? So socialize with devotees. If you have free time, socialize with devotees, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, read scriptures. Why do you have free time to begin with? Don't have free time to begin with, because the moment you have free time, your mind is going to take you here and there. Therefore, we have discussed at the start, which Shreyanshi, you are in the process of listening. We have the past class recordings. We have discussed that treat your mind as an untrusted outsider, that give your mind proactively a safe playing space of Krishna conscious activities. That way, mind does not have any room, any time to wander here or there. Just as you give a toy to a child to keep the child occupied and silent. Same way, keep your mind occupied. Don't give your mind free time. Shreyanshi.
Okay, Prabhuji, but my question is also like, what if like you have other leisure activities that you enjoy? So, like, do you indulge in that? Like, do you make time for that? Like, how do you balance everything?
So other activities such as to keep your body fit. Yes, you have to keep your body fit so you can do devotional services. Other materialistic activities that you have, replace them with Krishna conscious activities. Do services at the temple. Do services with devotees. Go out on book distribution. Replace your materialistic other activities with Krishna conscious activities. There are infinite, almost infinite ways you can do services at the temple or do preaching or book distribution, but don't engage yourself in pure materialistic activities, except for keeping your body fit, for which you may have to exercise or swim or whatever. But even then, I have described that devotees, when they walk for their bodily maintenance, they are walking with other devotees so that they can talk Krishna Katha, so that, or they either chant japa, just as Raksha gave our example that last Sunday we went very far away for a drive, which was drive of almost 3 hours one way. We were not talking Prajalpa at all. We were talking Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam verses and inquiring about spiritual subject matters only. There was absolutely no conversation outside of Krishna Katha. Shreyanshi,
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
everybody on the same page? And towards the end of the purport for chapter 13, 8 to 12 verses, we'll soon read. Prabhupada says, what is opposite of humility? So Ritu will read the last paragraph in 8 to 12 verses. The last paragraph starts, beginning from practicing humility.
Hare Krishna. Beginning from practicing humility up to the point of realization of the Supreme Truth, the absolute personality of Godhead. This process is just like a staircase, beginning from the ground floor and going up to the top floor. Now, on this staircase, there are so many people who have reached the first floor, the second or the third floor, etc. But unless one reaches the top floor, which is the understanding of Krishna, he is at a lower stage of knowledge. If anyone wants to compete with God and at the same time make advancement in spiritual knowledge, he will be frustrated. It is clearly stated that without humility, understanding is not truly possible. To think oneself God is most puffed up. Although the living entity is always being kicked by the stringent laws of material nature, he still thinks, I am God, because of ignorance. The beginning of knowledge, therefore, is aman, aman, amanitva, humility. One should be humble and know that he is subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Due to rebellion against the Supreme Lord, one becomes subordinate to material nature. One must know and be convinced of this truth. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhupada says to think oneself as God is the most puffed up. That although living entity is always being kicked by the stringent laws of material nature by Durga Devi or Maya Devi, he still thinks, I am God. Why? Because of ignorance. And therefore, Prabhupada says the beginning of knowledge, therefore, is amanitva, humility. Now, some Mayavadis, they claim themselves to be God. Now, some others, because they don't want to use this word God, and they know that people will misunderstand them. So they don't want to claim themselves as God. And what they do is they try to claim themselves as God in a different way. That they say, okay, I am not God, but at the same time, they want to be numero uno, means they want to be number one. Now, this is just another way of claiming to be God. So, so don't try to cheat. Like if you are a human being, you know you have imperfections. Don't claim yourself to be God. And Prabhupada says everything apart from this is ignorance. Question becomes, what does this mean? Now, the words ignorance and knowledge can have multiple meanings according to the context. So, what we study in the material world is all definitely knowledge. But this material world knowledge has its limited validity and limited utility. Krishna is giving this knowledge that enables one to become spiritually advanced and get liberation from material existence. On the other hand, material knowledge is required for functioning in the material world. None of the material world knowledge is going to help us come out of material existence. So the material world knowledge may make things relatively better within material existence temporarily. But material knowledge cannot help us come out of material existence. Therefore, Prabhupada says, these 20 items are knowledge, everything else is ignorance. So Krishna has defined jnana or knowledge here in chapter 13 in verse number 3. He says, Kshetra Kshetragyo Jnanam. that one who understands Kshetra and Kshetragya, that person is knowledgeable. So Kshetra means body and Kshetragya means knower of the body. So we discussed that there are two knowers of the body. One is the individual soul. The individual soul knows only his own body, and that too only partially. And then we have Kshetragya, super soul, who knows all bodies and that too in 100%. So material world knowledge has its utility. But this material world knowledge cannot help anyone attain liberation. Therefore, material world knowledge is not considered knowledge from the point of view of knowledge, that is spiritual knowledge, which the spiritual seeker wants. Questions, comments, realizations?
Like this, sometimes I feel little surprised that uh, Lord Krishna says only this is knowledge. Like in spiritual sense, also are these uh, verses or the point described as uh, com complete in the sense that spirituality is also a vast topic. So should we understand that these verses take in the totality of all the qualities?
So these are the qualities that we have to develop. Once you have these base qualities, the other qualities that are described in other parts of the scriptures will follow. These are base qualities. Without this base, you cannot move forward. Right?
Yes.
All right. Shivanji?
One question is that even if someone follows all these qualities, if the opposite person is very manipulative, like they might speak in sweet words and they might say yes and everything, and you're like telling them to be Krishna consciousness, but you cannot change a manipulative person. Like they ultimately they want to satisfy their senses. So how to deal with those kind of people?
Yeah. So um, the Shivanji, the lecture that you are about to listen in your catch-up session on chapter 1, we have discussed this at the very start of Bhagavad Gita in chapter 1, that speech is not a quality of spiritual advancement. You have to judge person's intention. At the same point will come up again in chapter 16. And I'll give you a practical example, my own practical example, which I have described earlier, and I'll repeat. So during COVID times, I changed departments in my office. At the new office, all colleagues told me that this one particular colleague is very, very cooperative, very nice, blah, blah, blah. So I accepted what they were saying, but I was still trying to follow Bhagavad Gita principles in my workplace. Now I noticed that this colleague and I, from day one, I had to work together with this colleague in my new role. And everybody said, oh, this is a very nice person. Now this person talks very softly. But actually she was a backstabber. And I went and highlighted this to my manager with proof that she went ahead and deliberately manipulated formulas in a password protected document, which only she and I knew the passwords. Well, if I didn't change, it was her who changed the formula. So I don't want to glorify myself, but at my workplace, it says excel in Excel. So I excel in Excel. So I had controls that if somebody manipulates one particular place, it will get caught up at other places. So that's how I got caught, because my spreadsheet is very vast, like thousands of columns and thousands of rows, and there are formulas, circulatory formulas all over. So if somebody just goes and manipulates one, it's very hard to identify which particular cell that formula got manipulated. But I have controls also built in so that if something is off, it will stand out. So I went and showed this to my manager. Now my manager, although she is a feminist, she still went and told this colleague of mine to stop doing what she's doing. So going back to Shreyanshi's example, that somebody is manipulative because you are letting somebody manipulate you. So you forgive, yes, because forgiveness is for you to give, but you don't have to trust the other person. Trust is for the other person to build. So this colleague, I still work with that colleague, but now I am cautious because I know the real nature of the person. Everybody else in my new office, they were simply looking at the verbal approach of this person, exactly what Duryodhan was doing in chapter 1. That he was using political speech to incite anger into into Dronacharya, so for his own benefit. So you forgive, but that does not mean you start trusting. It's because you started trusting is why the other person is doing the same things again and again and again and again and again. Shreyanshi?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Very good practical inquiry. Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, I like the point which you mentioned that it's because we allow them to manipulate is why they try to manipulate.
Correct.
That was a very good point.
Yeah, very good. Very good hearing with rapt attention. Correct. Yes, you forgive, but don't start trusting them.
Yeah.
Very good. Deepa?
I was listening to the same class today, so good reinforcement. It was you mentioned that that these people are like cobra, decorated with jewels. So normally, how people would get attracted towards the jewel, but they don't realize the true nature of that person, like a cobra or somebody poisonous, right? And then that's how it harms us.
Yeah, very good. So Deepa is referring to class recording number 3 on chapter 1. That others, I think Shreyanshi and Shruti are also close by to that, and others are also in that process. So very good hearing with rapt attention that these materialistic people, we get attracted with their speech and we think they are elevated people, but Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 clearly establishes, and the same point will come up in chapter 16 about demoniac people, almost identical point, that speech is not a criteria to judge spiritual advancement. Duryodhan has evil intent. Yes, he was using very nice speech, but he has evil intent. That's what we have to do. Exactly what my new colleague was doing. That the speech was very nice, but she had evil intent of going and manipulating a formula in a password protected document so that the calculations will go on to come out wrong. But she forgot that I had controls in place to catch that. Right, very good. Deepa, thank you for pointing out and correlating correct point and listening the class with rapt attention, although I'm pretty sure it's a pretty heavy discussion. the chapter 1 discussion.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Shreyaji?
Prabhuji, another question. So once somebody has revealed their true intentions unintentionally, what to do? Like you like
Yeah, you
they
still be Samadarshina. So I continue to work with this colleague. She actually now sits in very next to me in my next cubicle. When there was some movement of the cubicle, she sits next to me. So I continue to work, but I don't trust. Right? So I am very cautious, just as Deepa showed the analogy of the cobra decorated with jewel. So now I know that this person has an intent to hurt. So I don't have anything negative. I am still trying to be at the soul level by myself and trying to be Samadarshina, that I don't have anything negative against this person. Still, I am cautious that this person should not cause harm to me in my day-to-day work. Shreyaji?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Right? So I have forgiven, but I am not trusting unless the other person builds the trust by themselves. Very good. Everybody like the practical discussions in this chapter, in these set of verses?
Yes, Prabhuji. Just 4 verses, but so much packed with
Yeah.
things to
Yeah,
do.
five verses. These are the only 5 verses in Bhagavad Gita that are stacked together. Very good. You are correct. The purport is also very, very long. And actually, there is one lecture of Srila Prabhupada where the entire lecture, Prabhupada is asking a devotee to simply read this purport. Prabhupada said, I have given you everything in the purport. So just read the purport. So in one class, Prabhupada is giving a lecture on this, chapter 13, verses 8 to 12. And almost the entire class is reading the purports. Yes, Prabhupada is talking briefly in between at the start and at the end. But almost the entire class is simply reading this particular purport. It is spectacular purport. All of you should read the purports. Rest of you, only few of you said yes. Very good. So we have 5 more minutes. I won't cover the next set of verses. So from verse 13 onwards is section 4, which is on Gayam. So I won't cover because I won't finish those set of verses. You can use the 5 minutes to ask anything and everything.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. At this point of non-violence that we like, why does that situation will come when we have the like ability to do something but we may not do?
So this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, verses 8, 9, 10, which describes devotional service in the mode of ignorance, devotional service in the mode of passion, and devotional service in the mode of goodness. So first step, you will be surprised, why is there devotional service in the mode of ignorance? Yes, it can be. So if somebody is deliberately, so they may be doing book distribution, but they are trying to pull the other book distributor down because of their materialistic mindset. Well, then they are causing harm to others, right? So it's their nature. So understand that in ISKCON, everybody starts according to Bhagavad Gita 7.16. What is 7.16?
Is it Chaturveda
Yeah,
Vedantini?
yeah. What does 7.16 explain?
It says that four kind of pious people come to
Come to
Krishna.
Krishna, right? So these four kinds of people that come to Krishna, they are largely at materialistic level at the start, right? So at the start, you have devotees who are materialistic people who are not yet purified. So they bring their materialistic lifestyle while doing devotional services. So therefore, they end up pulling down the other person because in material world they have this wanting to be. I want to be the winner, and they don't realize that this is spirituality, and they bring their material world mood, and they try to do book distribution, and they try to pull the other person down, and that is violence. Till they come to the realization that they get a little purified, that we don't have to use material world standards while doing devotional service. Till that time, they may end up doing these wrong things. Abhishek Prabhu?
So till that point comes, we are still like it's devotional service, even though in ignorance. So there is some benefit, but
There will be some
not.
benefit. Yeah, there will be some benefit, but understand that they are doing offenses. So we have discussed that offenses means you are punching holes in your devotional bucket. So yes, by devotional service, they are pouring water in the bucket, but simultaneously they are punching holes. So it depends which one is bigger. If the offense is too big, then the devotional credit will drain out. If the hole is small, then little by little it will drain out. So it depends on the degree of offense.
Thank you, Rajan.
Subhash Prabhu has a question that how to convince someone to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, especially for those who say all names of God are same and can chant any names of God. Is it true, or we need to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra? So it's all names of God are identical. You can chant all the names. It's okay because they are identical. But the process given in scriptures for purifying yourself is to at least chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on the beads. This is bare minimum because Krishna has infused all spiritual potency in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and Srila Narad Muni has brought the Hare Krishna Mahamantra directly from spiritual world. So you have 24 hours. Generally chanting 16 rounds minimum takes somewhere around 2 hours. The rest of the time you can take names of all gods as long as they are names of Krishna at the Vishnu Tattva level or his devotees, pure devotees. But for the process of purification, you have to chant at least 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day. Subhash Prabhu, does that help you? Subhash Prabhu? Pratish Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. My question is in the context of non-violence, although it's more of a realization, although I believe that we should be non-violent. However, in my opinion, I believe that we should at least have the capacity to inflict violence. For example, if a masked robber is trying to invade my home, then I think we should at least have some kind of martial arts training or some kind of way to defend ourselves.
Yeah,
So,
you
Prabhuji,
are
what are your
correct.
thoughts on that?
You
If
are
I'm
correct.
wrong, or
No,
yeah.
you are correct. You should defend yourself. I already said in the today's discussion that this does not mean these qualities does not mean that anyone and everyone can inflict anything and everything on you. No, if somebody is trying to hurt you, you will defend yourself because you are Krishna's devotee. This body is Krishna's body, and the body is given to you so that you can serve Krishna. So no, you will defend yourself. You will not hurt the other person. You will just about defend yourself and call the authorities to take care of this person, right? But till the authorities come, you should have the ability to at least disarm the other person or disable the other person somehow.
Right. So, in addition to spiritual knowledge, we must also do some like physical training for, increasing our
Just
capacity.
just about enough.
All
Now,
right.
to understand that if you live a simple life, so nectar of instruction describes text number 2 and 3. Text number 2 says 6 items that are harmful for bhakti, and text number 3 says 6 items that are favorable for bhakti. In text number 2, it starts with simple living and high thinking. Now, if you live a simple life, why would anybody come to steal anything from you? You wouldn't have anything to begin with. So we have discussed that you work in the material world just about enough to keep the body and soul together. So you have bare minimum necessities and just about enough and little bit of savings. Why would a thief come to steal you? There are so many other opulent people all around. Why would he come to steal you? Pratish Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Understood.
All right. Okay. We are just past 10:30 p.m. Toronto time, so we'll stop here. I will post a lecture, so please listen to Prabhupada lecture also, and read the purport. The purport is spectacular, really, really spectacular, and you can bring your further realizations. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.